Got it on air. Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside Dawg.
Mike, it's football season. I think it's the best time of year as a sports fan to mix NFL and baseball playoffs. Like, we're entering the best.
We're not talking about baseball. Baseball is not active right now. We're talking about football. We had a draft. Do we want to recap the draft at all for everybody? I know a lot of people don't care, but you guys
people care. No people actually care, right?
I just wanted to mention Big Lou. There was a surprise. As you know, I got kicked out of one of the leagues, and I was supposed to spend 24 hours in Denny's, and I didn't do it. I left the league. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. And Big Lou in the draft put on a Denny's shirt for the first round of the draft, which I thought was very good. And then he put on the Sports Hangover shirt afterward.
And then he put on the Sports Hangover, which you can buy on the sportshangover.com. He was trolling you.
That's right.
We trolled him when he made his first overall pick, which was Najee Harris, which doesn't sound crazy until you find out that was that number 1 overall in the draft.
Yeah, that was a bad move. He was trying to trade out of that slot, and I can see why, because he was drafting Najee Harris number 1 overall. So we'll see how it goes this year.
It's a keeper league, but there was like Jonathan Taylor's involved. Like there's great players like Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, some really good ones. I can't see you. I don't think the viewers can see you. I don't know if they care, but it is an audio podcast for most people.
I turned off my my video. I'm in the desert right now. Spotty Wi-Fi. We're on Starlink out here, so it's not that great.
Elon Musk, shout out. Powering today's show. Is that our sponsor?
Yeah, I mean, Starlink's great. I mean, I wish they would sponsor me. It's the greatest device ever. Time Warner was trying to charge me $9,000 to pull in Ethernet cables into this house out in the desert.
Oh, J-Dog takes on Time Warner.
Yeah, and Starlink saved the day. So I'm grateful to Elon for sure.
Well, Elon's been in the news a lot. We might as well do a little California talk here. We've had a heat wave this whole week. We both survived it. We've both been pumping our AC, which we don't do all the time. But even on the west side, where I am, not mid city, but the west side,
you're not on the west side, but yeah, okay.
They don't care. But Elon's in the news because, California is going to electric vehicles only by like 2035, which is going to be here before you know it. Except we were getting texts every night this week that you need to conserve your energy because your power might go out in a rolling blackout. So how is this all going to work when we all have EVs, but then we also have rolling blackouts because the grid can't handle it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that we need to upgrade to. I mean, it's 2035. We have a long time before that happens.
It's not that far,
guess what,
Mike?
But I know, but if you think about it, and like we didn't have an iPhone that many years ago, that's what they're telling us we need to get all to electric cars by the time. Like, imagine a time without an iPhone. That's basically the time they're telling us. It's like what, 12 years or 13 years or something like that. We didn't have iPhones 13 years ago. And that's 13 years. A lot of things are going to happen. So I'm okay with it.
You can argue Mike, you can argue, and this is going way off topic. We have NFL to talk about.
Yeah, let's go.
You can argue that our technological advances of the last 10 years have not been impressive outside of the iPhone.
I would disagree. I feel like the last 10 years, we've come the furthest in technology. And it's like little things, like your thermostat is smarter. Everything has just gotten smarter and better and easier to use. And like your car, Jeremy, when you get a new car in LA, you're going to be amazed by the technology in the damn car. It's going to be like a goddamn computer when you step into it.
Well, yeah, they are computers and they need chips. And we found out during the pandemic that there's not enough chips to make all these new cars, but they are smart. That's a good point on the cars. Okay. I'm a little down on America's technology revolution, but I need them to kick it up into gear, basically.
Is that because your stocks are not performing very well, or is that...
No, I like to say we've come so far technologically, but someone was making a point to me that only the iPhone has changed everything. And through FaceTime, through social media, everything is through the phone. So like what outside the phone has really changed so much? And yeah, thermostats and cars have. I don't think that's even close to as revolutionary as the iPhone.
Sure. I think it's just a lot of internal tech. All right, let's get into...
Speaking who has not been developing as well. It's the Rams. The Rams had a bad week 1 game, maybe a bad offseason. Yeah. Maybe the Super Bowl hangover is in effect, Mike, because we are named the Sports Hangover. We are the original people that know when a team is going to have a hangover. And I think it's very clear to see the Rams are having their Super Bowl hangover.
So I'm going to add this to my stat sheet. I'm going to go back. Does every team that wins the Super Bowl, do they always have kind of a slump of a game the first game back after a Super Bowl, because I was really expecting them to come out firing all cylinders, jazzed up, they're back, but they literally they weren't using Cam Akers, they were using Henderson. It was like they weren't, I don't know, it just felt like they were missing something. It just felt like they were practicing in a sense, like little 5-yard pitches to somebody. Like Stafford wasn't really throwing it out there, and when he was, it was like not that accurate all the time. I don't know. It was a weird game. I really wanted Rams to win.
Especially as a home underdog, which is one of your great stats for week one, which I know we're going to get into your week one picks coming up. And that's a reason to be listening to this show. You made it 5 minutes. You need to stick around the next 10 or 15 minutes because Mike is about to give his week one picks. He could win $1 million this year. There's so much research going into it. I'm excited to hear what they are. So I know that's coming up in the show. But before we get there, can we play a little bullshit or believe based on last night's game?
Let's do it. Let's play bullshit. There's no soundboard in the desert. It's just
in the desert?
Just
okay.
our voices.
Well, there's not one at your house either. Okay, number one question. Is Cam Akers a fantasy bust in 2022? Bullshit or believe?
Listen, I think every year we don't want to overreact. That is, a rule we don't want to do. We don't want to say the Bills are the best, and we don't want to say the Rams are the worst right now. We want to kind of go in and say,
looked true last night.
They did, but we're not going to take that as fact. We're not going to ride it into the season. I think maybe there was something wrong with Cam Akers because did he not get any plays at all? It was all Henderson all night?
It's so funny from a fantasy perspective. He caught one pass. He actually caught a pass, except it was behind the line of scrimmage. So it went as a carry. So it's like, okay, he got a touch. He only made it back to the line of scrimmage. So the stat sheet says 3 carries, 0 yards, no points, 0.0.
I don't want to jump to conclusion, but I do feel bad for people that drafted him in the first, second, wherever third round he was going. I do feel good in our league. I drafted Henderson in the 8th round, so I have him on my team. He didn't perform that great, but he's still there. It's a great backup. But yeah, I don't want to overreact. So I'm going to say bullshit. I'm going to say Cam Akers comes back next week, and the Rams also win a game next week. That's where I'm betting next week, and I'm betting against the Bills next week. I'm not overreacting.
I agree with the first part of that. I think Akers, it's bullshit. I think he bounces back. Listen, him and Henderson are always hurt. Akers is still recovering from the Achilles. Let him be the backup right now. Let Henderson run for 2 or 3 weeks. Let him tear his hamstring like he always does, and then Akers is back. So I think it's fine. The Rams, by the way, host the Falcons in 10 days at home. That is the definition of a get-right game. Another bullshit or believe here. Matt Stafford is washed. I'm guessing you're going to say bullshit because of all the reasons you said for the first answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bullshit. I think the problem is this was the first season that we only had 3 preseason games. Then we had a bye before the start of the season. And I don't think they got enough reps in. I think this was literally the first time they were all playing together and throwing in pads. It doesn't seem like they got enough reps. And I think this happens with a lot of teams, right? They get off to a rough start. It was kind of like Indy the year before, 2 years ago. This is the best bet I've ever made, but I bet against Indy when they're playing Jacksonville, and that was their only loss for 16 weeks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So all I know is that if I'm a gambling man, I'm not overreacting. We watched the game, we saw what happened, and now we're going to see people adjust. And I can confidently say I think Sean McVay is a decent coach, and hopefully he can coach it out of Stafford.
I agree with you again. I think the way he was throwing the ball perfectly to Cooper Kupp, it just shows you that his arm strength is not the problem. His injury is not the problem. It's chemistry with other guys. He wasn't targeting Allen Robinson. I'm bullish on Allen Robinson this year. The guy got 2 targets, and one of them was on a Hail Mary on the last play of the game. So I don't really understand what was going on there. Maybe it's early. Maybe we shouldn't read into it. I think if he spreads the ball around, they run some better plays, Stafford will be fine this season.
Well, I will say something. Why was that random receiver, the white dude, no idea who he was, getting tons of catches? Never heard of him. No one even had him on a draft board. Allen Robinson, nothing. Nothing at all.
You make a good point. So Twitter actually spoke to me about this, and this is not my theory. I saw it on Twitter, but apparently over the course of Matt Stafford's career, he over targets white receivers, Mike. And this goes back to Danny Amendola. Apparently in Detroit, Danny Amendola would get more targets than Golden Tate at his peak. I know Stafford, Calvin Johnson's not white, so it goes against that theory. But it made sense last night. Like, why are you targeting this random guy when you just paid Allen Robinson $30 million and he's supposed to be the number 2 piece on your offense? So we got to give him some time, but there is a theory out there.
I did see, I don't know if it was a tweet or Instagram of Allen Robinson put on white long sleeves to be a white receiver or something to get more catches.
Oh my God. We'll see if that holds up throughout the year. One more bullshit or believe for you. Is the Bills defense elite? And before you answer the question, I want to share one stat with you. I did not realize this last year, but in yards per game, the Bills were the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they've since added so much to their D-line. So back to the question, the Bills defense is elite. Bullshit or believe?
Jeremy, you were throwing a lot of stats at me yesterday. You're really screwing with my head. Tony, our mutual friend, texted us on the side, and he's like, we need to leave Dawg out of our gambling conversations.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to cloud the mind.
I know, but we stuck to our guns. We know what we wanted to do. I will say they look great. I mean, they weren't letting them do anything. Stafford was sacked multiple times. Yeah, they look great. So I'm not going to say they're elite, but I'm saying they have a potential to be elite. So
I agree. I'm going to go a little further. I'm going to say I believe that they are elite. That defensive line had so many guys rotating through. Chris Collinsworth, by the way, Tarico and Collinsworth, such a great debut for Tarico. The guy was nailing it. He's so big on the big games. He's perfect there. Natural Collinsworth. Collinsworth was pointing out last night that they're rotating their guys on defense so much more than any other team. They were all fresh throughout the game, and they looked fresh. They looked like they didn't have a Super Bowl hangover at all compared to the Rams offensive line that couldn't stop them. It was a fresh D-line. You add Von Miller. I think you take it slow with Von. Don't let him peak until the playoffs. Let him be a situational pass rusher. Why use him? The Bills are the type of team, they're going to the playoffs. They're not going to have to fight for a spot. So I want to save Von Miller for the playoffs and see if he can wreak havoc.
I will say it felt like Collinsworth and Tarico, it feels like they need a few more games to feel ultra comfortable. It felt like sometimes too broadcasty. I felt like Al and Collinsworth, they were friends. And I don't think Tarico's there yet. I don't think he's friends with Collinsworth. I don't think they're hanging out yet. I think they're hanging out a little.
I think they're having lots of dinners. They're doing Cowboys Bucks on Sundays. That's 2 games in 4 days. And maybe by next week, they're back up to par.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Did you see Al Michaels last night? He checked in from Culver City, Mike. He checked in from right next to my apartment.
I did not. I didn't see it. What time did he check in from? At 4:30 in the afternoon?
It was 4:15. Yeah, an early check-in. He was previewing Chargers Chiefs. He was at Amazon Studios right here. It was a great check-in.
That was very confusing for me last night. I went to Amazon. I'm like, all right, first Thursday night game. And it's next week. I'm like, where is the game? I was so confused.
That's right. The big games, the kickoff game, the Thanksgiving game, they air on NBC, but all the other Thursday night games are on Prime. And it's great. It's Chargers Chiefs. It's Mahomes Herbert next Thursday. That's an elite matchup.
All right, let's get to the picks because we've kind of gone back and forth. So do you want me to read them all out to you right now of what we have? And you can pick a few games because we have more than 5 currently.
More? I thought you do 5.
We do. So we're having a conversation right after this, and we have a lot of games.
Hasn't landed the plane.
No. So there's a few that we agree on, but I've been kind of jumping off some other games. So
do you want to give us your most confident ones to start?
Sure. All right. Yeah. Let's go most confident. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons at home playing the New Orleans Saints. They're getting 5.5 points at home. Division dog. This is a stat we love. I just really like this game. I feel like there's a lot of hype, a little hype around the Saints, people betting them to win the Super Bowl. People are excited about them. And these teams that are not getting a lot of chatter or chatter that's negative, I kind of want to bet against. And I saw this guy on TikTok that really summed it all up. He's like, it's not like college football. All these guys, all these teams have the same amount of money and they have the same talent everywhere and they can get whoever they want. So obviously it's, different owners doing different things, but the Atlanta Falcons to me is my favorite bet of the week. If I'm going to put most of my money into a game, it's going to be the Falcons this week. Division dog at home, new quarterback. And don't they both have new head coaches? Hold on. I have to check all those stats.
I know you love that stat. I thought the Falcons coach was there last year. I thought Arthur Smith was there.
Yes,
the Saints
he was
definitely
there.
have a new coach.
Yes. Yes.
So that does check your new coach stat. You're betting against the Saints, who have the new coach, and they're on the road. I totally get where you're coming from because it checks all the boxes. I think some of your rules might go out the window when you're talking about one of the worst teams in the league. And there's not many teams that are in that bucket. I'm afraid the Falcons are. And so you have to look at it through the lens of, I have all these rules. I have this, what'd you call it? The draft manifesto last week.
Yes.
This guide to
gambling
follow.
manifesto.
Gambling manifesto. I apologize. But you're talking about Marcus Mariota and the Falcons here, and that's why we just got to take a step back. Now, I think you're onto something. I think it's probably a close game. I think they're probably pretty close teams. Maybe the Saints get better throughout the year as Jameis gets better with the rookie receiver. Michael Thomas works his way back. I don't dislike the pick. I don't know if it's my strongest pick of the week.
Okay. My next strongest pick. These are the two games that we agree on right now. So these are the two games.
The mutual doesn't like the Falcons.
No, he does. So these are two games we both agree on. And then there's some that we're kind of going back and forth on. But the next one is my Seattle Seahawks at home, Monday Night Football, playing Denver. All I know is when Pete Carroll's like talking shit basically about what, knowing Russell, doing all that. This is a home dog, Monday Night Football. I just love it. I think this is a game where we could honestly see the Seahawks win this game. Right now, they are a 6.5-point favorite at home. I love it. I love it so much. This is one of my favorite games of the week. It's scary, but it's one of my favorites.
It's not asking a lot of yourself to bet on the Seahawks as an underdog at home. Like, that sentence makes so much sense because that is an electric home crowd. It's Monday Night Football. And we've never seen a head coach like Pete Carroll say what he said about how the crowd should treat Russell. Did you see the quote going into Monday night? He's saying, the crowd, this is competitive. We're being competitive with Russell Wilson. You should treat him as a competitor, basically. I'm paraphrasing what Pete Carroll said. You don't hear that much about a guy who meant so much to the organization. I'm sure there's going to be people that are torn and want to support Russell maybe more than Geno Smith in this game. It makes total sense. But I think the crowd backs him up. I love the pick.
Did you see the what was it? It was like all the stories about how they actually tried to trade Russell last year. Like they were trying to get Brady or trying to trade him somewhere. And this all came out like a few days ago. So I think there was really some hostility between maybe Pete and the ownership and Russell. I think this is a meaningful game for both. And if you're coming back, I think there's a lot more pressure on Russell than there is Geno Smith. It's just like, hey, Geno, we know you're shitty. Like, go out there, do your best, manage the ball, don't get it intercepted. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for like, a Russell performance out of Geno, which we should not expect at all. But I'm excited.
I agree. I love the pick. It's one of my picks of the week, and I think that's a good one to lock it in.
So another game we loved, but the line moved. It seemed like a lot of smart money, sharp money was coming in on the Houston Texans. Now, this is a game you don't want, Houston, Texas, Davis Mills. But this stat, now we had this stat, but this wasn't like, I wasn't sure how we wrote it down. We knew this was true when Indy was playing outside of a dome. But for the last 8 straight seasons, the Colts lose every single week 1 game. That is a stat for the last 8 years. They've lost every single.
You told us that last week. I remember.
Yeah. So again, I know I'm going off all these stats. I'm not looking at – it's hard to look at a team and say this team is better than that team. I know Indy got Matt Ryan. Maybe they're a little better with Matt Ryan. But I like you. I'm getting points. I'm getting 7 points here. Now, I don't like the number 7. I like 8 much better because we could land on a 7. We could get a push here. But I like it. I think it's a solid
That game's
pick.
in Houston, right?
In Houston, yeah.
I like that one too, and I love where you're going. You're betting against new situations. You're betting against Jameis Winston and the new Saints coach. You're betting against Russell Wilson, the new position in Denver. You're betting against Matt Ryan in Indianapolis. So I love the idea there. Davis Mills was sneaky good for the Texans. I will say this. They have a new head coach, Lovie Smith. What's going on there?
Yes.
You are betting on a new coach as well, so be careful with that one.
I know. But it's
Davis Mills was great.
But both have new head coaches, right? So we almost call it like a wash, right? We can't say either one is better.
Yeah.
Or no, they don't. Yeah.
I'm not willing to say Matt Ryan will have a better season than Davis Mills. I'm not going to say that. I think Davis Mills, it's like 50-50. Maybe Davis Mills has a statistically better year, and maybe he even wins more games. I'm not sold on the Colts. Like, they had this revolving door ever since Andrew left at quarterback. Wentz was terrible. Will Matt Ryan be any better? He's old. He wasn't good last year. He's immobile. They're not known for a good offensive line. I think you're onto something here.
All right, our next game, this is one we're pretty in agreement on, and then there's 3 games that we're kind of all over the place and not sure where we want to go with it. But I'm taking New England on the road in Miami.
Shut this show down. We're ending the show early.
They're a dog, division dog, playing in Miami. God. And all we have here is a stat: do not play against Bill Belichick week 1. And Miami has a new head coach. And I don't see this goofy little guy outsmarting Bill Belichick week 1. No matter how bad Mac Jones is and no matter how bad the team is, I still think they have a shot here on it. And they've been there for a few days. They've been getting, acquainted to the heat.
That was a tip I gave you last week. They traveled down to Palm Beach, Atlantic. My parents called it in for me right by the house. They were practicing. They saw Belichick at the sushi place for dinner, the whole thing. So the Patriots are all in town. Yeah, that's really happened. Yeah. And so the Patriots will travel down to Miami on Saturday. They've been in the heat. I told you the stat where they never play well in Miami. I don't know that coming early is going to fix that. I just think they're not going to be conditioned for it. I think you're selling McDaniel a little short. I think the offense is going to be great. I think the offensive line is going to do some weird shit in the run game that really opens up holes. They've got Edmonds. They've got Raheem Mostert, who's healthy and super fast. He won't be healthy much of the year. He's healthy week 1. And then the Patriots on offense. Mike, who is calling the plays? We don't even know. It's either defensive washed-up assistant Matt Patricia or head coach washed-up Joe Judge from the Giants. Those are the 2 guys coaching that whole offense.
How about this? Do you not think Bill Belichick is playing chess here when everybody's playing checkers? Do you not think he's just saying that to let people make you think that there's some confusion? Because I don't think you want to give out too much. You don't want to show too much.
I want to tell you that the shine has come off of Bill Belichick, and we've seen what he does in the offseason with personnel. It's not over. I'm saying the shine is wearing off, and he's not so as shiny object like he used to be. The personnel decisions year after year are terrible. He can't get offensive skill position players in place. We don't know what's going on with Mac Jones. The offensive line has been a disaster all of training camp. So no, I don't trust him coming into this season with this new squad that he's assembled kind of as a dictator. He's just leading this as a one-man squad, and he's doing all kinds of weird decisions like putting defensive coaches in to coach the offense, not bringing in good receivers, paying Nelson Aguilar $30 million. So many things don't make sense that I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt until they come out and beat Miami in Miami. I have a big feeling the Dolphins are 1-0.
Wow. Okay. I like it. We'll see what happens. I mean, listen, they can be 1-0 and I can still cover my bet. That's
what's the line? Did you tell us that?
3.5.
It's getting big.
They're getting 3.5 points.
It was like 2.5 recently.
Let's see what it was. A week ago, it was 3. So yeah, it keeps going up. So people are putting money on Miami. They're getting hyped about Tua Tyreek.
I'm not hyped on Tua. I'm just hyped on down on Belichick. How about that?
All right. So we have 3 games. Let me know which game you want to talk about because we don't really know which direction to go here. So I have the Lions playing Philly. I have Minnesota playing Green Bay. This is a great division home dog game that we kind of like. And then we have the Raiders, like on the road dog, but divisional game playing the Chargers. So these are the 3 that we're kind of like, all right, where do we go with this?
I like what you're thinking.
That's
Mike.
what
the first thing I'm going to say. The first thing I'll say is Raiders, Chargers, super watchable. Can't wait to watch it. I'd be afraid to bet on it because which offense is going to be better? Which defense is going to actually have a defense? I don't know. That's a stay away and just watch and enjoy it in week 1. I want to zoom in on one of the games you mentioned. The Vikings and the Packers. It's a great week 1 game. All eyes on it. It's in the later window. You got playmakers on both sides of the ball. The Vikings have the new coach. So normally you're going to say, let's go with the Packers. I know that's what your initial manifesto would tell you. The Vikings are a much different team this year. They were very negatively affected, apparently, by Mike Zimmer in recent years. The mood in the building was super negative. He was a hard ass. So the players weren't having fun. They weren't happy to be there. And then you're living in Minnesota in the winter and it's just miserable outside and inside at that point. It was just a bad scene. But now they have a positive leader. He brings the Rams offense over. They're acquiring weapons on offense. Kirk Cousins has the most weapons he's had in his career. Justin Jefferson due for a breakout. Dalvin Cook is healthy. Meanwhile, across the field, Aaron Rodgers, who is he throwing to? Is Sammy Watkins the number one receiver in this game for the Packers? I know Aaron Jones is there. I know A.J. Dillon is there. Outside of those two backs, who's getting touches? How is Rodgers going to score enough points to keep up with the Vikings, who I think will have one of the best offenses in the league? I love the Vikings in this game.
That worries me. So, you're our gauge. You're our gauge for the public. Okay. And if you like it, it makes
go against it. Do it.
Right now we like Minnesota. We know the head coach thing that worries me, but it's a division dog playing at home. This is ideal for Minnesota. But if you love it, it makes me really nervous about it. And that's the thing. When me and the mutual friend love a game, we stay off it because we know that's not a game we should bet on, because we know if we love it, there's a lot more people that are also going to love it. We like to take
the audience is Mike. The audience is realizing that you're treating me like the public and not as a shark.
Yes.
They're all realizing it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because we got to have a gauge of everything, right? Like, all right, where do we want to put it? And it does you want games that are like kind of uncomfortable, but it's the right call. Like Houston, that's an uncomfortable game. It's like, we think you're a piece of shit, but we hope you can stay with Indy at least to lose by 6 so we can cover the game. So
I have one more stat, Mike, on the Packers.
Where are you getting all these stats?
I know. I'm doing my own thing this year. I'm doing my own thing. Okay, listen. The Packers traveled in week 1 last year. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Remember, he had Devontae Adams in this game. Week 1 last year on the road. They lost 38-3 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know it's the Bucs. I know it's Brady. They lost by 5 touchdowns on the road in week 1 last year.
I know. I wanna take it, but you're scaring me off by loving it so much. Can I scare you off one more thing? Yeah, sure. Go for it. Yeah.
You mentioned Lions Eagles. I was looking at this game too, and people are slurping the Eagles D, and we talked about on the show recently. I don't get it, and the public loves it. Jalen Hurts, to me, not an accurate passer. The running game, if you have 3 running backs, you don't really have one at all. The offensive line, question marks. AJ Brown is there. Can Jalen Hurts even hit him? And then it's the Lions on the other side, which I know you're partial to the Lions. You've been watching Hard Knocks. I don't think the Lions are that good. I think this is more betting against the Eagles. I like the Lions side of it.
The Lions game is the most uncomfortable game to bet on because I am hyped. Is my vision blurred because I'm so in on their head coach and pumping everybody up and like just loving the atmosphere in the building right now? I love the Lions. If the Lions could win the Super Bowl, I'd be a happy guy this year because I'm all in on the Lions. I don't know if they're actually going to perform on the field. That's my problem. I think out of the field, I think great organization, but on field, I don't know if it's going to translate.
I started this rant against the Lions a little bit last week, Mike, and I thought I was a little bit mean. And in hindsight, I wasn't mean enough after watching one more Hard Knocks. I thought Dan Campbell had another terrible episode. The guy doesn't speak about football. He speaks in generalities about let's go get him today, boys. Bust that ass. It's just all these get you fired up generalities. I don't think he knows anything about football at this point. I don't think he knows a damn thing about it. And I don't trust his football mind. I don't trust his coordinators who we don't know much about. I don't trust the room that they're getting prepared in. And so I know I'm going against what I'm saying here. I don't like the Lions long term. I like them week 1 because they're at home and Philly's overrated.
So did you see or hear that the Lions, every personnel person, assistant coach, offensive coach, everybody there, former player? No one there has not been a player on the field. And you can kind of tell. Did you watch those few episodes where like defensive and offensive coaches are yelling at each other?
Yeah, they're all football players.
Yeah, it scares me a little. But this is like, if this is the week to take the Lions, we got to go for it. So those are the 3 games we're deciding between. And
wow,
it's hard to choose because like Minnesota makes the most sense, but it may make the most sense to a lot of people.
Well, we don't normally record before you lock your picks. So Mike, first of all, you're a little late in week 1 after all your information. So there's that. And number 2, you got to be honest with us next week and tell us your record. Tell us the games you went with because we have to hold you accountable. This is a legit contest. You've been bankrolled by one of the richest NFT creators in all of Hollywood. And this is a big deal.
Now, I could make our sports page public where people could track our bets. I'm tracking all our bets. We're already down $30 so far because we put $30 on Rams money line and the under. That didn't hit, so we're
the under hit, right?
The under hit, but not the Rams. So I'll give you an update next week. It's our first week. We actually had to rush. We have a conversation right after this because the sports book is so backed up. It's taking a few hours to submit the picks. So they're saying we need your picks tonight or you're not going to get.
Oh my gosh, they're rushing you. Are they going to? Oh my gosh, you got to get that in week one.
We're able to, on most Saturdays, we're able to submit at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Now I have to get it in by like 6 p.m. on Friday night.
That's really speeding you up. I know you don't like that. Does that mean there's more people in the contest than ever?
The last I saw, there was just under 3,000. So there's a lot more people joined, which we could all do next year. Is just a survivor pool. They did $1 million survivor pool. Same kind of rules every quarter. There's certain people that get paid out. Survivor's easy. You know, you just kind of.
It's easy week one. By week 5, you run out of your best teams, and it gets a little sketchy.
I know. That's all I got.
Are you playing Survivor? Do you have a week 1 pick for the people if they're playing Survivor this year?
I'm not playing Survivor. I'm really keeping it limited. I got, 1 fantasy league and 1 gambling. It's already enough to like keep track of not only putting real money on the games, but also keeping track of like who we're submitting picks for to win $1 million. So I'm focused this year. That's what I'm doing. Okay. My fantasy football league will start next year. So don't worry about that.
And that's a big deal in itself. We'll talk about that next year. Enjoy week 1. Enjoy NFL Sunday. Enjoy Red Zone. It's the best Sunday of the year, and it's the best 6 weeks where we're getting baseball and football together. I'm telling you.
Do you want to talk about the baseball rule? What was the baseball rule that just changed?
Well, hit your social feeds, I guess. So it must be a big deal. They're changing rules for next year. They were speeding up the game. I know you go to a game, it takes too long. You like to leave early, so we're doing something about it. There's going to be a pitch clock. We're banning shifts, and the bases are going to be bigger.
What does banning shifts mean?
So right now, there's so much analytics in the game where they tell you exactly where the guy is going to hit it, and so the fielders actually they don't play their normal positions. They go on the field where the analytics tell them they're going to hit it. So it might be like in the middle of the field and outfield. They might be all the guys on one side of the field for lefties versus righties. In the future, starting next year, you can't shift anymore because what they're saying is there's less hits, there's less runs, there's less action because the analytics have gotten too good.
That seems very weird to not let people move in the field, right? I mean, it doesn't. I guess it makes more sense to you guys, but to me, it's like if you're playing football, it's like, well, you can't run the ball anymore because we figured out where you run, so you're gonna not have to run this way anymore.
But it's kind of like on offense, there's rules for the line of scrimmage. Like there has to be a certain amount of guys on the line. Maybe look at it like that, where there are some of those rules, just a little different.
All right. You think
we're speeding up the game. We're making it better.
Is it going to help?
It'll speed it up. Apparently in the minor leagues, the pitch clock is really speeding up games by like 20 to 30 minutes. So that's every inning is 2 to 3 minutes quicker. That can add up.
All right. I can add up. All right. Go to sportshangover.com. Swag is up there. Go get it. New Sports Hangover shirts. There's like some dry fit Sports Hangover shirts up there for the, it's pretty hot out right now. I ran in one this morning.
I don't know. The tropical storm is coming in. It's cloudy. It's cooling off. It doesn't feel right.
This feels like I've never seen a hurricane in LA, and we're about to get a hurricane.
It's a tropical storm.
Whatever you want.
It's going to rain. Right, it's going to legit rain.
I know. I'm excited. Check out the sportshangover.com, and we'll be back next week.